My God. I'm just going through. Gotta do the Silent Hill 2 soundtrack every once in a while just to remind yourself that it's just like so eclectic. And it has so many bangers in its niche corners. I mean, like, dark ambient as horror genre to start, obviously. But then you just get this, like, down-tempo, like, dub trip-hop shit. And then there's just, like, guitar power ballads. Cuckoo's talking about being disappointed seeing Akira Yamaoka live in Poland because he only played the guitar tracks. I would too. I would be too. Absolutely. No offense to Yamaoka-san. He's apparently scoring or doing new versions of the score for this very like C-list, D-list tier a Silent Hill 2 movie that's coming out, directed by the guy that did the other Silent Hill movies. So we know it's going to be some German schlock, some like over the top mid 2000s core horror, some Central European funding involved in that. But it's I'm still going to see it. Obviously, what you fucking nuts? What are you nuts? He made new music for the recent game called Slitterhead. Oh yeah. I gotta check that shit out. Inspired by Wong Kar-wai movies. Wow. Yes, I do recall seeing a whole lot of Hong Kong aesthetics in that. But I did not know that Kiriyama scored that shit. Yeah, I mean he's pretty fucking goated. For anybody interested in that VGM shit. I mean, like, that game changed the game. It changed the game, but musically, on its own, 100%. 100%. All right, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm a little delirious, jet lag. Just got back from the Netherlands. Liz Pelly and I did a live taping of our Critical Listening podcast with this awesome investigative journalist from Amsterdam, Hank Willem Schmitz, who does this lot of deep dives on the tax haven that is the Netherlands and its various, Caribbean islands that it owns. Very much, speaking to my heart as someone that lived in Puerto Rico for 5 years and just went insane seeing the private equity and crypto and fucking awful shit take over there. A whole lot of that happening in the Netherlands related to music festivals, and specifically our favorite private equity company with its foot in music, live music, KKR. So it was really interesting talking to him. Liz and I went and saw some evil people speak on different panels for the sake of research. Whole lot of talking about AI and automating the music industry in those rooms that no musicians seem to be in. So these folks, these ghouls, felt comfortable speaking their truth, their bottom lines, and it's fascinating. It's fascinating how little these people know about music, and yet they pull in a lot of strings, at least in the EU. But even more so here, most likely. Then I played a DIY show in The Hague, and I got tried for war crimes. It's lit. Highly recommend anyone's looking for a cheap European city, Americans looking for a quick flight. It's not that bad going to The Hague or going to Amsterdam and then go to The Hague. It's chill. Played an ambient show at a vegan squat. Run by one of my former students. Shout outs to Wilf. Shout outs to the whole Schlag Room crew for making me feel right at home. It was super, super fun. But yeah, that's where I've been the last week, or last 5 days. And I'm a little cuckoo still, but it's okay. We back at it. Tried for war crimes is a favorable descriptor for experimental shows. Yeah, but I mean, this was on the quieter side. I would have loved that on a Marshall Industrial. I mean, you think there's like a Marshall Industrial project based out of The Hague, an ICC themed firsthand, like primary sourced power electronics group based out of there. Feels like that'd be easy pickings. Just works for the archives there and picks the most fucked up shit to make fucked up noise music to. Yeah, good stuff. But anyways, go to The Hague. It's a fun spot for war crimes and other stuff. Or rather, litigations regarding war crimes. We have ourselves some of your music. Excited to get back into it. But obviously we got to shout outs the sponsors, the homies holding it down for us at Tape Trade. You know them, you love them. Was thinking that, you know, we're getting all of these fucking playlists together here, and they're all public. We're not done with January yet, and we're at like 10 tracks so far, even amongst 5 or 6 people. Feel free to share these links around. I put them in the show notes on the podcast afterwards, but feel free to share these things because I truly enjoy anthologies happening week to week. You know, it's really interesting hearing stuff being made around the same time, even if some of your stuff is coming from weeks, months, or even years back. The fact that you're sharing it now, you know, the fact that you want this to be heard now, it says something. It contextualizes it amongst the other tracks, and I just think it's very interesting, you know, thinking about this as, you know, a long arc of pieces that work well together. But obviously, shout outs to Tape Trade. Many thanks to them for the support. They are if you don't know, Tape Trade is a storage, sharing, and playback for mixes, mastering, demos, and beats service, in browser and in-app file sharing and streaming. No ads, no AI. And sign up if you haven't already. Got a link in the show notes after the fact with 2 weeks free. So shout outs to them. Many thanks. All right, we getting on to your tunes. I believe we have a track from Chamier, Senor Shams, that we didn't hear the previous week, 2 weeks ago, because we did have Lawrence English last week. Hope y'all enjoyed that. I very much enjoyed speaking with him. It was my first time really having any sort of at-length conversation with the guy, and just love how warm he is and hilarious and how generous he was in his feedback and, you know, willing to go the distance and really talk about this shit, you know, nerd out, you know. He refused the stipend that I offered to pay him, you know. He was down to clown for the community, and I'm very grateful that we have folks like that. Stay tuned for monthly project January to February next week. Still need to get my bearings straight, getting back into things this week after being away. So bear with me. It will be for the latter half. It will be due in the later half of February. So stay tuned for that. But shout out to Lawrence. Shout outs to Room 40. Everybody go grab something on his seemingly infinite Bandcamp. All right, we're going to start off with another track from Shams. What did he write? If you allow it, I got another finish today. Yes. Well, that was 2 weeks ago, but still. More ABBA, Cola Boy, 70s Toro y Moi style to this one. Toro y Moi. Regardless, let me know what you think. Also, Cassiope, like slap bass. I just laid down on my P bass. Very nice. Very nice. All right. Let's get it up. This is Just Leave Me Alone by Shams.
Why'd you hit me up? You wanted time I strive for love when it was only a fault to you. It was like a stamped piece of rye having a conversation with you. In the end, it seems there was nothing ever different. Just leave me alone.
Yeah. Another one from the godson of Cola Boy. Rest in peace. We got ourselves a new one. A new work in progress from Shams. The man got a gift for disco. You know? We've said it before. It's his responsibility. If there wasn't a scene created by Cola Boy, it is Sham's responsibility to do so in his memory, to expand the sound of this Oxnard, California disco, new disco that's occurring in the 2020s, 2010s through 2020s specifically. Really, really lovely sound. This is the type of thing that just needs to happen live, and I think we talked about it last time too, like getting a band together, or at least like finding some collaborators, and really this needs the communication of a rhythm section live. I mean, you're holding it down, dude. I mean, the bass is fantastic. But I think that a few people are saying it in the chat, just like, more exaggeration in this from a vocal production perspective. I know it's early on and it's kind of raw right now, but like thinking, I mean, we could see hints of the direction you want to go with this production wise, with Breathplay mentioning, like some differentiations between the verse and chorus mix. But to just, reiterate what they're saying when they say they want more differentiation. They write, for pop music like this, there's often totally separate and shockingly different chains for each part. And yes, like I think that needs to happen. Like the chorus needs to be like a smack of harmony. And not just in the voice, but starting with the voice, like 3 parts, Mike saying strings, I think that's a fantastic idea and true to form disco. Absolutely. We just need dynamism, right now it's all, this is hard for folks, a lot of people, especially home studio in the demo stage of things. It's like, I just need to get the ideas out there, recorded parts, just for the sake of documenting them, for the sake of proving that it works, right? To demonstrate that it works. But like going the next step as far as like dynamics go, as far as like arranging the parts, because sometimes it's very subtractive, like to be thinking with dynamics, because we might have a default of having everything on and everything relatively loud. But stripping that back even more so, and there were definitely moments of stripped backness here, but the stripped backness, good, very good terms. But the chorus needs to, if we're having this should be the relative quiet, like the verses and chorus as it stands right now should be like on the relative to where I want it to go. This should be on the quiet side, and then we need to just go upwards in arrangements. I'm imagining like, yeah, with strings like like, like bringing that in as transitional material into a big smack of a chorus, and then to have 3-part harmonies, because you do a great job. You have great range as a tenor, being able to go low, and then belting it up high, and also like try to open up that diaphragm a bit when you're up there high. It felt like you were holding back a little bit, like this is as a singer, like as a singer who has lived in apartments and not trying to wake up my neighbors, for example, I have sung quieter, maybe with some physical restraint than I'd otherwise like to. And just from knowing that experience, it ends up feeling just a little held back. And, so fuck your neighbors, belt this shit out, like this is why I'm saying, like, playing with other people who can also sing harmonies with you would be so fucking tight, because these questions of dynamics too would just be like so much more instinctive, and like, we wouldn't even, it would be unspoken. These big moments would happen. Obviously, I'm not saying you get an orchestra to play live with you, though that would be sick. But for the sake of recording and having like a real expansive ability potentially to expand on arrangement and dynamics, it should be bigger by the chorus, no doubt. And the voices should not only be stacked, but across the board, like, sing open belly, all the way abdominal breath capacity, and sing with power. Don't hold back, is hard. It's hard. Breathplay says, people say society would be improved if everyone had a compulsory 2 years in a service job, and I kind of have a similar opinion of musicians making pop music. I agree. Disco is a fantastic example. I have a friend that did their master's composition thesis on disco arrangements. Just like, it's one of those things, and he had no interest in this prior to like looking at it from the lens of a trained musician. And it wasn't like when he was a teenager wanting to make this stuff. It was like after going through an entire undergraduate degree in composition and like starting to fall in love with like varying degrees of pop, both present, contemporary, and previous genres, that tap into something that just itches that, or scratches that technical itch for some people. And disco is like, my God, like, it's Baroque, it's bombastic, I guess romantic, not just Baroque, but it's really fucking beautiful. Just saying, I guess that's just the academy, really. You can't do it right without the fundamentals. I mean, it's true. I mean, with disco specifically, it's just like incredibly or deeply rooted in sort of common things that were taught, counterpoint, voice leading, things like that. But what I think is, or at least from a string quartet arrangement as part of it. But I think that this is something that comes seemingly pretty natural to Shams here as an instrumentalist and a composer, But like, now we need the front man. We need the front man producer who can like lead this in a live context, but also as a producer, like becoming Quincy Jones here. Like, you are an orchestrator as well as a producer, give us more. Give us more. All right. we got? Shamsy Jones. Who do we got? Who do we got? Breath play, breath play. At our last Sunday session, I presented an A side of my next single, which I want to explore the minimal aspect of my techno voice. I'm aiming at a spiritual quality, for which I cited the influence of religious artists like Arvo Pärt and Paul Schrader. As promised, this B-side is where the truly hardcore minimalism comes out. It's just 2 drum samples and a recording of my house's power noise. BYOK. What is that? Bring your own ketamine? What does that mean? The full version runs 10 minutes. This version covers the whole structure at double the pace. I especially like mix master feedback. It's tricky trying to give the sounds presence and body while preserving their delicacy. Bring your own kick. Gotcha. I like mine more. Bring your own ketamine. I mean, you would. Wouldn't that be the normal way to do it? All right. Innocent as Doves, version 2. I just gotta laugh. I gotta laugh. It's wonderful, but I just gotta laugh just at just the true, just punishingly minimal. And I know that this is a Tool track. I'm assuming that's why you say BYOK, meaning the expectation is that this is to be mixed with someone else's track that has kick drums involved, and that you are like strictly coming at this from mids percussion and hum. I would say noise, but it's truly just hum. I mean, I just very much enjoy. I'm trying to think of an analogy here as far as like, like, because Tool tracks tend to be full drum productions, right? That you then mix. Is BYOK? Someone explain to me. Is BYOK like? Is that a thing? Is that a common thing in Tool tracks where it's like we are giving you like 2/3 of the drums with the expectation that you are providing the big one that you'd expect to be required in techno? I'd be really curious, because I just love that by choice of aesthetic, you're making minimal techno. The changes are not going to happen that often, and the repetition is going to be its most common thing, like militant repetition, right? But normally when I think of Tool tracks in minimal and other atonal, let's say, or non-tonal styles of techno, is that we have the full drum production. Like Cuckoo's saying, like the Tool tracks you recall have prominent kicks in them. So this for me, which is why I'm a fan, is that you are thinking about this from the sake of, for Tool tracks, like as utility, but then also as a standalone like work of art, like as a piece of repetitive minimal music. Like there is the implication of Tool that we're all imagining here, but we're not hearing. It adds this big kind of like, it's very Feldman-esque, the way that I describe Morton Feldman's music as describing it as the aesthetics aligned with minimalist art, not like visual art, not minimalist music, because minimalist music tends to be very full, including everything. There's lots of repetition, but it tends to be very full. And in this case, Feldman's being the heavy usage of negative space and silence and things that are implied but not actually a part of the score. And to me, this is if Feldman was tasked with making Feldman lived in 2026 and was into minimal techno and was tasked with making a Tool track, this is what it would be, because it has negative space. There's blocks of time in which it's not that we're losing tempo, but it creates this open vacuum in which like it's on us and our imagination to sort of like place what we think should go as like what we imagine the kick to be here. It's meant to evoke, even as a piece that is so repetitive and minute as far as the arrangement goes. I would have loved a bit. Oh yeah, Cuckoo, you gotta get on that Feldman stuff, on that 20th century true New York school, mid 20th century avant-garde composer. One of my fucking goats. Breathplay saying, I would argue there are many canonical dub techno tracks from the big names that lack beats but are clearly meant to have them, such as Basic Channel's Presence. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing too, is that like pulse is at the core of minimal, not necessarily drums, but pulse, right? And there is no shortage of pulse here, which is why I'm hearing this more as like, I don't know, rhythmic noise, if we want to call this, or really just electroacoustic composition that is utilizing the frameworks of things like minimal techno. But I'm hearing it as a standalone, far more conceptually, with the ability to, if I wanted to, use my imagination further, or like actually mix it in with something with kicks to bring my own kick to this equation. It has the ability to just serve its purpose as a tool track, but as a standalone, it's just it feels like a Feldman piece. It feels like an evocative piece that through the usage of negative space. I'm really fucking into it. House power as literal noise for my apartment's electricity passing through hardware. The stuff you would tune out with a power conditioner. Yes. The ground hum. The ground hum is prominent here. I would like a little bit more of that, both like in the mix. You're asking about what to do with mix and master here. I think noisier across the board is important, like with the actual hum that we're hearing. And I don't know if it needs to necessarily grow in that. That would be nice, but does that count as minimal then if we have like an audible shift, even over the course of 10 minutes, towards a much noisier or louder, or like, I wouldn't say harsh noise wall, but a noise wall? Really, I was worried about it getting too hard. No, it wasn't too harsh. No, I want more extreme. My brain was leaning towards rhythmic noise by the end of it. But I don't know if that's aligning with you. Yeah, I think it's pretty tame. I agree. If you think that where you're at is too harsh, then that's your gut instinct, is to keep it relatively on the quieter side. I mean, that's totally fine. It's really coming down to like, true minimal, no changes, right? It's actually very much like harsh noise wall, like the manifesto for Vomir, the guy that puts a plastic bag on his head. Absolutely no changes occur in that sort of thing. You want it to hiss more than roar. Then you should like spend a glacial time doing some peaks in resonance, find some harmonics in there potentially. Definitely Mika Vanyo. R.I.P. Yeah, I think that like if you were to make changes, it could be not necessarily the harsh changes in that, but through like applied resonance and potentially just creating like in the EQ, like a thin bandpass, or opposite of bandpass, like, band peak, that you are, swooping through the harmonics potentially. I just want, the hum the hiss, the ground noise to take on a more prominent role. There is one I can make it more prominent. Yeah, I would expand on that a little bit. Even if it technically gets you into more rhythmic noise territory versus minimal. We ain't purists here. There's some phasing and stereo stuff going on. I mean, I was going to say about like exciter and saturation specifically, but I mean, like, it's already so raw right now. I would just save it for like a master, and just making sure that everything is just like, the U shape punching, even like it's not technically kick, but like some of those more like like bass drum, with sustained sort of plops that happen occasionally, like those have to assault us as well. But I wouldn't necessarily think about like one instrument needing to be mixed more versus the other when it comes to that, but more the hiss. How can that take on more of a role? No, you're not a purist. What would you mix this with? What tracks would you mix this with? Hold on one sec. Okay. Good shit. The lack of reverb is a big move. It's so easy to jump into the reverb bath. Oh yeah. That's where I sleep, in the reverb bath. Yeah, because part of me is thinking about the dub techno possibilities here of time-based effects, but no. That's dub, not minimal. Yeah. I want to hear some mix with this, separate for the production. I want to hear what Breathplay would mix this with as a tool track. This one's gotta be dry. We be dry. Good shit. Thank you, Breathplay. All right, cuckoo's up. I'm into MIDI fuckery right now. That's good to know. And to me, there's no better instrument to represent the concept of MIDI than piano. I'm treating it as a percussive instrument. As a partner in improvisation. This piece was much more improvised, and I'd like the listener to be amused by the on-the-fly decision-making here. Title refers to Tekken notation, which to me is a split between chess and gambling, like I want this music to be. DF plus 2. All right. DF plus 2 by Cuckoo. Let's go. really loving the. First of all, shout out to Cuckoo. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Really enjoying the elastic nature to the percussive elements here. I was just talking with Kareem about the gravity physics involved in a lot of cinematic music now, and even going back to our dear friend and Group Critique Fight Club monthly project presenter alumni Joshua Eustace in some of his earlier Telefon Tel Aviv stuff, talking about the elements that he would use for the gate of a sequencer, rather than having it set to a particular tempo, having it fluctuate in this more sort of physics-oriented gravity bouncing ball kind of analogy here. And I'm imagining this as a, elastic band stretching outwards and then sort of coming back in and stretching out, but not necessarily timed consistently one way or the other, sometimes very violently contracting in tempo to something, glacially slower than what it was 2 seconds ago, and vice versa. I'm curious, you said in the Discord, the piece was very much improvised, and, being that this is a electronic production, I'd be curious if you could talk to us in the chat, what is your process of improvisation for a piece like this? Does it have to do with like the way that you arrange things from beginning to end? Is there a live, are you doing live sort of tracking in Ableton, like utilizing these loops with a controller? I could take some guesses as to what makes it, an improvisational sort of arrangement or a composition from the like broad scope, like beginning to end, how it starts and how it ends. Cuckoo saying I have to think right now. How is this improvised? No one's ever asked me that before, man. Damn. But this is what we're doing. Hard-hitting questions here. You said it. It was an improvised piece. So I want to know. Because it's, and also like the usage of the piano, the emphasis of that in your text as well. Where is the piano in this? Is it, do you mean like the keyboard, like using your hands? You're ready? Because I'm working 9 to 5 doing this in spare time and figuring out how to improv. So I'm setting up MIDI clips. So you're improvising within these individual MIDI clips and then arranging them after the fact, utilizing like a MIDI keyboard of some sort. Right. So I'm setting up MIDI clips and feeding MIDI data from piano to drums and vice versa. Interesting. So it's improv is one way of putting it, but dare I say we get even more specific in our terminologies here. Chance. This is Cajun. Chance-based. You are sending this MIDI information from one instrument to another, from one instrument type to another, one that utilizes pitch and one that tends to not utilize pitch, piano and drums, and then vice versa, switching that up, not knowing exactly what it's going to sound like, but taking the chance to apply one to the other and seeing what it sounds like and creating these this interesting dichotomy of rhythm and pitch that's going on here. So you're saying I'm not using any MIDI keyboard. Okay. I think it's generated this. I generated this MIDI with Ableton algorithms. Yes, there is a chance involved, and there's MIDI tools to evolve clips in Ableton now. I use them for the first time in this piece. Very cool. Okay, so it's the utilization of MIDI piano being converted into drums, and then MIDI drums being converted into some sort of piano or keyboard instrument here. synthesizer, polyphonic synthesizer of sorts. Still curious. How do we choose when to do tempo modulation then? Because that was such a prominent part of this, because if I was playing this live, that would be something that could be much more, to me, like much more naturally, like even especially as a drummer, and a keyboardist too. The piano, Cecil Taylor once said that the piano is just 88 tuned drums, and I tend to agree with that. So we heard it here. The choice of tempo modulation according to Cuckoo. I choose it on instinct. 15 years of experience DJing, maybe. I love it. That great answer. Great answer. That's what makes it improvisation. Going through the loops and deciding, right here, make the mark to expand on the tempo, double it, extract, contract and expand the elastic band of tempo here. The human in the loop, har, exactly. This is good. This is good stuff. I mean, we can hear your instincts here as a rhythm selector coming through here. But it's not easy stuff thinking about this from the sake of when to program tempo modulation in versus when to perform it. So the fact that it's programmed, kudos to you. Good instincts, Anya. Absolutely. Then you wrote, and now I'm like, maybe improv is the piece. That gut instinct chance. Very, very good. Very, very nice. Very much enjoy not feeling comfortable in one tempo. I gotta move. I gotta keep it moving. Fantastic. Oh, man. Thank you, Cuckoo. Giving me some strange sounds to help me with my delirium. My post-travel delirium. All right, MH. MH in the chat. What'd they write? What'd you write? You didn't write it. What'd you write? Oh, you deleted it. Oh, found something I found in the archives of 2018. Parts are a little choppy. Feels most of the way there, but interested in feedback. Okay. And feedback you shall receive for Wanda Metropolitano by MH. All right. Pretty good start there from MH. Pretty good start. My thing here is that it sounds like we have the beginnings. We have the rhythm section. You know, obviously we have drums and bass right now, and those are taking the two most prominent parts. We do have that third occasional whirring in the right corner, which is nice. But I think, again, it's not the first time I've talked about this, man. Writing a melody is really hard. Before even getting to melody, though, harmony would be nice to start. Something polyphonic, chordal, and sustained. You know, the most two prominent things here are staccato instruments working, you know, in constant motion. You know, we did get some hints of that with the monophonic instrument, with that. But I'm imagining something longer in tone, long-toned instrument, sustained, but also, you know, inherently polyphonic, to sort of contrast with the motion of the bass, and to play into this, you know, kind of, you know, or sometimes dissonant and, you know, ominous at times, sort of bass progression, the walking bass that we got going on here. To have something that like, you know, if we picked some choice dissonant chords to just like hold over this, you know, I think it would be nice to get long tones, polyphonic long tones involved to, you know, like double down on the sort of like implied harmonies that are here. And then from there, like, is there something, does this ask for a lead instrument of some sort, something melodic, you know? I don't know. Part of me is leaning towards like, if we were to have more harmony, it would then feel like it needed its lead on top of that. And the harmony was really, you know, acting an accompaniment. It's what I'm always talking about. Like, you've created this foundation to, you know, it sounds like it's accompaniment for a melody that doesn't exist yet. But, you know, first things first is I would want to have more polyphonic harmonic instruments, just to like countering the staccato, you know, motion of this. But then like maybe what you have that sort of instrument here, maybe that's our lead and it's just hiding right now, you know? Curious as to it, why it's you know, so much quieter in the mix and not so often, you know? It's not a constant instrument, that third thing that we're hearing right now, and it's really just in the right channel, I noticed. Thinking about a lead. Okay, cool. We thinking about harmony is the question, you know? What if it was like left hand? What if it was like a full, you know, polyphonic synth where you're playing some sort of block chords on the left hand and then lead on the right, you know? Keep it all on one instrument as if it was all one synth, but like registers between left hand and the lows or mids, and then a monophonic lead on the top and the right, you know? Thinking about, oh, interesting. Cuckoo saying a theremin type lead or some sort of whistling, some sort of portamento, you know, something that is bending at pitches in order to get to them. Interesting. I would want there to be soft envelope like we had with that one instrument right there. Nothing but yeah. And like Kareem said, you know, like a live overdub mix would be awesome, you know, because we do have the elements of dub in this for sure. But to give it that handmade, that hand mixed sort of quality to it, will instantly bring out far more dynamics than what we have right now. I know this is the start of something, but it's good to be like conscious of where your dynamics are at, even in the demo state, you know? Right now it's all tends to be one zone. This could get really quiet, you know? We could strip it down to like one element of the drums, over the bass, you know? Reamping, interesting. Good idea there. Definitely one way to make it sound way out of the box. I got some mixing to do. You're right about the right channel thing. My notes was that I was reamping through a delay pedal and it was only going into one channel. Interesting. That's why. So it was just mono to the right. Well, then scoot it into the center to start. You know, that's always something in post you could do. You could re-stereo that mono take if you wanted to with a stereo splitter. But definitely start it in the center. Don't let it hide in the onto the right. But, you know, expand on that potentially. Turn that into your proper lead. You know, maybe you don't need full block chords of dissonance like I was thinking, but something long tone, something sustained, something soft in attack, you know, to contrast what we got so far. And then, you know, give it the old live dub. Give it the old live dub. Crank on that auxiliary send. Let's hear some saturated tape feedback. Some of that time delay. I do love me some dub. Good shit, MH. Good stuff. Sorry I'm not as articulate as I usually am. My brain be a little fried, but it's okay. I'm here, we're having a good time. It's a party. Wrapping us up for today. Kareem with Sunbelt. Kareem wrote, I brought this phone recording of this guitar loop to the first private lesson of the year. After our chat about contemporary guitarists and my desire to avoid Berkeleyism, have been to record it with try different grooves at different tempos to help it find a home. Have to say I've come to love it at this really slow pace. Thinking about how to bring my guitar tracks into the wet music world, so having a lot of fun with the delays. Also a total work in progress. I've been a bit busy, but I'm excited about slowing things the fuck down. Alright, Sunbelt by Kareem. Let's go. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is some wet music. First, I love that the lead instrument to this is not guitar, it's not drums, it's not bass, it's time delay. The time delay on this is so strong, so locked in. Ba, 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 just laying into a triplet feel of sustain and decay on this is so nice. Um, it's giving me both Tortoise and Chamier, Mr. Shams. Like this is exactly what Cuckoo said. Getting a singer on this, like soulful, soulful tenor on top of this. I could absolutely imagine this. Keeping it quiet, almost like a Quiet Storm style thing. Like or Ink No World. Remember Ink No World? Collaborators of McGee and Kareem, you know Ink? INC? If you don't, Ink No World. That LP. For anybody that's listened to the radio station in GTA 5, yes. Okay, good. You're hip to it. Good. There's some Los Angeles OGs. Those guys are fucking like true R&B in their fucking blood. I think they're twin brothers. But it's like not only like is the pocket just like so fat in there, prominent pocket work going on. But it's the melancholia, it's the timidness of production and dynamics here, keeping it smoky and smoky and wet, but quiet, restrained. You're doing that here. But with that, Ink's got that, like barely enunciating vocals, talk about usage of time delay and verb on that, cloaked in that shit. Yeah, they definitely do good work on hip hop drums or combining it with live drums. Absolutely. Yeah, no, that would be, it's not only, but yeah, combining that with this Tortoise, like post-rock sort of guitar work happening here, almost jazzy, but not fully Chicago post-rock sort of flair that we got going on here. I don't know how into Tortoise you are, but they stand alone to me when post-rock tends to be more what you'd imagine like Mogwai or Explosions in the Sky type of just tremolo heavy picking work. Jeff Parker, the guitarist for they switch off with guitarists, but Jeff Parker of Tortoise as a guitarist, like him and David Grubbs, they've collaborated, like at one point both as Chicago contemporaries. It's a soulfulness in the restraint, in the negative space, right? Into not, allow for there to be sustain through delay, but not to be like constantly picking, but actually just like chord stabs, really, really, really tasteful guitar work here. And that brought me there, combining that influence with Ink though, in my brain, and adding some sort of vocals to this, would put this well over the top, So interesting that this is falling under wet music canon, Like we talked about earlier, Kareem, we got to write the manifesto for this because it's not necessarily a sound, it's a philosophy, it's a theory, The wet music theory. It's coming for us all, There's this is new pedagogies. that we're experiencing now. Oh man. Yeah, just thinking about vocals now for this. Imagining the Ink guys singing on this, or Shams for that matter. Get Shams to sing like the Ink guys, and you're fucking there. Whew. This is lovely. I downloaded that. I'm keeping that one. I'm keeping that work in progress. No REM vocals on this. No. Restrained, hushed, whispered. Yeah, Kareem doesn't sing often in his stuff. I want to hear that. I want to hear it from the source. Let's go. Let's fucking go. All right, y'all. You see me, I'm already fucking drained today. It's been a long one. Oh, man. Long ass week coming up. You know, I do it for you. This is me. Sign up for lessons. Got a few more openings for this early 2026 season now that I'm done traveling. Hit me up. Shoot me a DM. Shoot me an email. Go to parrotski.xyz. Got the new website up. Sign up for private consultations. Sign up for the Patreon. Patreon.com/parrotski. Join us on Sundays for our Group Critique Fight Club private stream, as well as our Mondays. You know, it's my pleasure listening to y'all's work and discussing it with you. And remember to stay tuned for the monthly project for January into February. Coming at you, hopefully this coming weekend, if not early next week. Okie dokie, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you remain productive. I hope you remain sane. Remember to be social with your music. Remember to find a way to get it out there, not just on the internet, but in person. Play more shows. Go to more shows. Talk to more people at more shows. Drink more beer. Well, maybe not that. If you're not a drinker. But if you are, drink more beer. All right, everybody. I was in the Netherlands. Sorry. Be drinking them brewskis with the homies. Hope everybody has a wonderful week. I will talk to y'all very soon. See ya on Sunday. Bye-bye.